Good afternoon. Oh, that was loud. Welcome. Today we have a very exciting signing and launch event for a new MIGA facility to catalyze renewable energy investments in poor countries. We have an exciting lineup of people who are going to speak. First, we're going to have opening remarks by Her Excellency the Minister of International Development, Norad. Then Mr. Ethiopia's Tafara, Vice President of the MIGA, is going to talk. Then we're going to hear from OECD and from Ms. Merily Barodi, who is the Director of Sustainability in MIGA. Then we're going to have the actual signing, and then we're going to hear some wise words from Norad's Director General, Mr. Bård Solhjell. So that is today's program. We're about 2-3 minutes behind schedule, so I think we'll be able to catch that up. Without further ado, I invite the Minister of International Development of Norway, Ms. Anda, to give her opening remarks. Thank you.
The mic is working. I heard it now. Dear Mr. Tafara, esteemed guests, I'm so pleased to stand here launching this brand new initiative as a brand new minister. I'm convinced that this kind of mechanisms, this way of thinking, public-private reinforcement, is the future if we are to speed up investments in developing countries. 1 billion people still lacks access to electricity. 1 billion. While at the same time we are headed towards climate disaster. We cannot choose between poverty reduction and climate mitigation. We must act on both, and we must act now. Investments in clean energy hold the key to unlock the solutions, and private sector needs to step up. Public money can help mitigate the real and often high risks that private investors find in emerging markets and in developing countries. And MIGA's political risk guarantees are an excellent mechanism for mobilizing private money. This way, Norwegian funding will spur even more investments, and I hope other partners will join us. The new Norwegian government has put climate financing and renewable energy on the very top of our agenda. We have promised to double our climate financing towards 2026 and at least triple our support for adaptation. And building on Norway's and MIGA's good long-standing relationship, we are keen to get this initiative off the ground. This is a long-term commitment, the first of its kind for Norway, and I'm delighted to be signing the agreement with Mr. Tafara later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. I now invite Mr. Tafara, Vice President of MIGA, to give his remarks.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister, Your Excellency, Mr. Director General, Mr. Travik, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased and very excited to be here today launching the Renewable Energy Catalyst Trust Fund with our partners at the Norwegian Agency of Development Cooperation. What we at MIGA share with Norad is deep commitment to achieving sustainable energy access and combating climate change. Climate change poses an acute threat to global development. Its impacts are particularly strong on the poorest and most vulnerable members of society. And by 2030, climate impacts could push an additional 100 million people into poverty. This means that the twin goals of the World Bank Group of eradicating poverty and promoting shared prosperity must be seen through the lens of climate and sustainability. The World Bank Group's Climate Change Action Plan aims to support countries and private sector clients in maximizing the impacts of climate finance. And MIGA, like other World Bank Group institutions, has a role to play. This includes achieving 35% in climate finance over the next 5 years and having all of our activity Paris aligned by July 2025. Now, MIGA's mandate is to facilitate foreign direct investment through political risk insurance. But our approach is not merely transactional. Every project supported by MIGA must have a positive development impact, which of course includes energy access and climate adaptation. One of the priority areas for MIGA has been supporting projects that increase energy access, including through renewable energy and improved energy efficiency. Since 2016, MIGA supported 55 renewable energy projects totaling $2 billion in new gross guarantee exposure. And over the past 3 fiscal years, 85% of the power generation projects that MIGA has supported have been renewable energy projects. What we have found is that most impactful projects are often developed by entrepreneurs and smaller investors. Such investors are frequently daunted by political uncertainty in sub-investment grade emerging markets and developing economies. However, due to their limited resources, political risk insurance is not always accessible, but they're not prepared to go forward without it. The Renewable Energy Catalyst Trust Fund, with Norad as the anchor donor, will make MIGA guarantees more accessible and affordable to smaller investors in the renewable energy sector, including mini-grid and off-grid systems, residential systems, and captive power projects. It is also expected to benefit industrial consumers looking to set up dedicated power solutions, as well as larger companies with market and project experience in developed countries looking to expand into developing countries. As part of our efforts to drive climate action, MIGA has a long-standing record of participating in key partnerships, and today we're grateful to Norad for supporting and being a guiding partner in establishing this facility. We're very much looking forward to this partnership and very much looking forward to the signing later on with you, Honorable Minister. Merle will come and speak about a few details a little bit later, but with that, thank you very much. Looking forward to the signing later.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. We now have a short intervention also from OECD, virtually, I believe. We're going to hear from Mr. Paul Horrocks, who is the head of private investments in the OECD, to explain how and why guarantees is a very effective instrument. You're muted, Paul. Paul, you're muted.
Thank you very much. Apologies for that technical. So thanks very much for the invite. I just want to give you a bit of sense of how we see the use of guarantees at the OECD. So I'm Paul Horrocks, I'm leading the Private Finance for Sustainable Development team at the OECD. So we define guarantees as a type of insurance policy protecting banks and investors from risk of non-payment. There is a more technical. So guarantees are really sort of serve a development purpose. They can backstop high impact investments in risky markets, or they can be, as in this case, a renewable energy catalyst trust fund. So a really important area in terms of catalyzing renewable energy. Can we go to the first slide, if possible? Hang on. That's, yeah. And as you can see, I mean, there's been significant use of guarantees. I mean, the most effective tool to mobilize capital in every year for which the data is available. Private finance and mobilized guarantees has increased steadily over the past 6 years. You can see that significant part in terms of the role of guarantees out of all the use of blended finance instruments. And actually, I mean, catalyzing a significant amount in 2018, it was 18 billion, up equivalent to sort of 14% annualized growth over that period. So quite a sort of very effective tool in terms of delivering, mobilizing private finance for sustainable development. if we can look at the next slide. I mean, in terms of, as you can see from the 2017 to 2018 data, they've been very effective in leveraging instruments in Africa. They represent 39% of total private finance mobilized by official intervention on the continent. And we use to finance projects across different sectors, including social infrastructure, and take into account the role of the potential of guarantees to be used in different sectors and geographies. It's important to analyze new ways to incentivize private capital to flow into the most fragile and undeserved sectors. We're still not doing enough, as you can see. It's not going to some of those critical regions and in particular sectors. The OECD, we did a report on the effective use of guarantees, and this has been recently released. So the role of guarantees in blended finance, where a lot of this data and analysis can be explored. And basically, through the market assessment that we undertook to deliver this report, there was considerable need for first loss guarantees. So I'm really happy to see that the Renewable Energy Catalyst Trust Fund, now being launched at COP26, is taking that approach. So critically important. In terms of the benefits of guarantees, I mean, they are really sort of useful in regards to delivering development. The first is that they require funds to be dispersed in order to deliver development impact. So you can really useful in optimizing budgets, and they allow development while allowing guarantors to leverage their balance sheets more efficiently. With ODA unlikely to increase dramatically, guarantees are really important in terms of providing that benefit. They deal with things like commercial, political risk, and can bring really important additionality by changing the risk-return relationship profile of investments and alleviating credit restrictions for undeserved borrowers. Apart from that, they're really good at high mobilization in terms of private finance. They provide additionality and they create markets. So, and we're happy to see that the market's developing now in terms of delivering impact. So, for example, MIGA with their impact performance assessment comparison tool, or Garanco's scorecard system being really good examples for how guarantees are providing impact. But what can be done more to encourage this important instrument that we're seeing being rolled out? Well, a coherent approach in terms of risk management to sovereign and sovereign borrowers, including the need to better coordinate between guarantees and insurance products. More extensive and effective use of guarantees, including promotion, partial guarantees and market rates to ensure accountability, promoting more competitiveness in the market. And the OECD paper sort of looks into some of these issues and makes the point that guarantees should follow the OECD DAC blended finance principles for unlocking commercial finance. So that means looking at the guarantee should be used when there is a development objective aligned with the SDGs. Secondly, the goal of the instrument should be to mobilize much more commercial finance as possible. And third, the ultimate impact of the guarantee should be left in with the local financial market. And fourth, the partnerships are really important in terms of providing collaboration and incentivizing providers to come on board. So I'm going to end here with great to hear this announcement of Rective. And there's much more of what is needed is this type of instrument. So we look forward to seeing these transactions coming out of this fund, and other donors, I'm sure, will be looking towards this to be inspired and to look at the way that this particular fund is catalyzing for renewable energy. So congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for being with us. We're now going to hear from the Director of Sustainability in MIGA, Ms. Merrily Barodi, who's going to explain a little bit more about what this facility actually is. Welcome, Merrily.
Your Excellency, Donor partners, Norad colleagues, and ladies and gentlemen. As Ethiopis has already noted, we are extremely excited to be launching the REC Trust Fund today, and with it, its development impact, additional development impact that we know it will deliver. We are most grateful to the Norwegian government and to Norad for their faith they are putting in MIGA and for all the hard work we have seen over the past month.
All the hard work we've seen over the past months that has gone into setting up the facility. Renewable energy projects have been a big part of what MIGA has been delivering over the past years, but this trust fund is undoubtedly going to make a big difference in how we move forward with renewable energy that we are supporting. This trust fund will be used primarily to support MIGA guarantees for renewable energy projects through various reinsurance mechanisms. In particular, it will be especially useful for providing first loss coverage on MIGA guarantees. Whenever MIGA issues a guarantee, we charge a premium. That is, it's a price based on how much capital is required that is there to backstop our risk. With this facility, however, we will be in a position to have this facility take on the first loss risk. And this will enable us to reduce the economic capital that would normally support this project. And therefore, we will be able to lower the price of our guarantees and make them more affordable. For prospective renewable energy investors, this is going to be extremely significant. Energy sectors in all countries at this point in time, these are really changing. There is still a vital need for more grid-connected capacity, but we are also seeing greater interest in renewable energies projects that are involved in microgrids, in mini-grids, in captive power, and supporting solar home systems. So these projects are typically a bit smaller than traditional utility scale projects, and they are allowing a whole new class of investors to have the opportunity to participate in the marketplace. But at the same time, we are also seeing that there is an intense pressure to keep driving the cost of power down for consumers. And of course, this is a very, very welcome development. This also means, however, that types of renewable energy projects that we are seeing are operating on extremely tight margins. And it's in this context that every cost of the developers that we are talking to are being heavily scrutinized. And so in the case where a guarantee from MIGA will be a prerequisite for an investor to move forward with the project, the more affordable we can make those guarantees, the easier it is to be for that project to move forward and for the investor to actually begin the project and move into fruition. And we know that for climate and climate risk, speed is of the essence at this point in time. So this trust fund is going to make an enormous difference in how we are able to serve our clients and serve the development community by delivering renewable energy. Now, MIGA does have some other types of donor-funded trust funds that are important to us. We have a MIGA guarantee facility under the IDA private sector window. And this is supporting many IDA countries, fragile economies facility, which is supporting very fragile states. But this trust fund is going to sit really perfectly to help us reach other areas which are not accessible by those trust funds. So what we see now is that this trust fund will allow us to really serve all of our client countries, including those very low income countries that are not supported by the private sector window or are not supported by our fragile economies trust fund. And in that way, we will be able to move forward with a larger group of investors who we would not possibly be able to serve with our existing trust funds facilities. And that's part of the reason we are absolutely so excited about this trust fund, because it will allow us to serve all clients. In addition, we know that this trust fund will also allow us to use grant facilities. And these grant facilities will be part of our renewable energy projects and allow us to expand in our capabilities into what we can offer our clients. We frequently see that we have solid projects we can support, but for various reasons that go beyond the normal capabilities of the sponsor of the project, we see that we are reaching challenges and stumbling blocks. For instance, we may have a developer who needs to develop a gender-based violence action plan and to put that in place, but they don't have the resources to do that. This trust fund will allow us to support that type of investor in a way that will allow us to bring these projects much more quickly on stream in a way that we can't do at the moment. So we are really, in that sense, seeing this as a game changer for MIGA. And in many ways, this partnership makes total sense for MIGA. Setting up a trust fund with the Norwegian government, we see that in Norway, there are many smaller and medium-sized companies which have incredible experience in the renewable energy sector. But oftentimes they are small, they are medium-sized, and they have expertise, but they haven't necessarily been investing in emerging markets. And we think that this trust fund, using these resources to potentially support them, will allow us to empower a new group of investors, especially into projects that often find difficulty in having enough investors to support them. So building on what Ethiopia said, this partnership is going to really allow us to do so much more in the renewable energy space. We know that working with the opportunities this trust fund will provide us, we will be able to combine the ambitions of what we want to do with renewable energy with also the ability to support investment in renewable energy. And I think, as we all know, to the extent that we are supporting green energy projects that give access to populations that don't currently have access to energy, we know that the populations will then be able to have a better opportunity for being able to achieve the sustainability goals that they want to achieve. But of course, without power, they're not in a position to do so. So in that way, we feel that this is going to be more impactful than many would imagine. And really then, just to close, I would say that we are truly, truly excited about this partnership. And we can't express more our gratitude to the government of Norway for their faith in us and our real desire to see that we will live up to their faith in our abilities to deliver renewable energy in emerging markets. I will end there, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Melanie. I now have the pleasure to invite our President Minister and the Vice President to come and sign the agreement. I also would ask Director General Solhjell to get ready to deliver his closing remarks.
Three of us. What do you want?
Okay. And I'll ask you, Director General Solhjell, to give his closing remarks on behalf of the
fix the papers afterwards. Okay, so first, thank you to all the speakers here today and all who have attended. It's also for us in Norad a great pleasure. And for us also a special thank you to the Minister of International Development and the Minister of Foreign Affairs who asked us to set up this mechanism together with MIGA. This effort from our side has been about integrating climate and development and create something that has an effect both from a development perspective and a climate perspective. We started with development. This winter, Norad did a study on Norwegian and Nordic foreign direct investment, and it showed that very little of the FDI from Norway and Nordic countries go to the least developed countries and even lower middle income countries. Only 0.23% to the least developed countries. So too little capital gets where it's most needed. And the main reason is risk, like we've heard here. So we decided MIGA to go for a first loss mechanism that can really help companies with their political risk and bring capital to more difficult markets with weak institutions, but also where poverty rates are high and where a lot of people lack access to electricity. So by this mechanism, we hope to be able to create an instrument that can actually take more companies to the least developed parts of the world, for instance, Africa, south of Sahara. But also from a climate perspective, it's equally important. Because if you look at Africa, the International Energy Agency says that it's probable that Africa's energy use will double from now till 2040. If that mainly happens by fossil fuel, it's a climate disaster. If it mainly is through renewable energy, it's a great story about development and access to electricity in a climate-friendly way. So thus, it's extremely important also to get new renewable projects moving in the poorest countries in the world. And it's true, like it's been said here, that there are many Norwegian companies, small and medium-sized companies, also larger companies, that can benefit from this and get investments moving in the poorest countries. But it's open for small and medium-sized and big companies from any country. And I think I want to stress that it's an international instrument which can be used in other countries in general. And we already see an interest from others. We set up this instrument in a way that we are starting it, Norway is starting it, but others can join in. And we have already had conversations with several other donors for this, and we will follow up also to this weekend, talking to others to get more investors on board, so that hopefully it's an initiative that's started by MIGA and the Norwegian government, but ends up as an even broader instrument. So again, thank you for coming here, and we look forward to working with MIGA, this instrument, in the future also.
That concludes the program for today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us here today. And thank you very much to Bellona also for hosting us. Thank you.